When I was a teenager, I saw an old man in the library, and he had books stacked up all around him, and he was hunched over reading. And a friend came by, one of his friends, and he said to him, "You know, you've been reading all of these books for so many years, decades and decades. I don't know anybody who's read more books than you. You should write one." And as soon as he said that, I saw his whole body convulse, and he just buried his nose back in the book that he was reading and gave a grunt. And even at that age, even as when I was a teenager, I knew what had happened to that man. Because this is a man that probably loved books all his life. And in his heart, he wanted to write. He wanted to be a writer, but he never did it. He spent year after year, decade after decade, reading and never writing, consuming content but never producing anything. And you probably recognize this man because most people either end up like him or are on the way to end up like him. Because most people, the truth is, are running from their calling. And when we do that, when we run from our calling, we end up in this intensely painful place where on the one hand, we have the suffering of our soul that tells us that we are here in this world to deliver a gift. And every day that we go in a direction that is not that calling is a day that we feel the suffering. And there's a day that we feel something is dying inside of us. On the other hand, there is the opposite fear, the fear on the other side, which is actually doing it. It's the fear and the pain of actually going for our dreams and trying to make them real. And people get stuck between these two pains, these two areas of suffering, afraid of going for it, but also depressed and anxious that every moment they're losing their gift. They're losing the opportunity to live up to their childhood dreams, the things that they felt really gave them life, really gave them a sense of aliveness. And what do people do? People end up numbing themselves because they numb these two pains that they're stuck between with food, with alcohol, with videos, video games, sex, all these different things, because they know that deep down, this is the thing. This is the thing that they are here to do. And so why are we doing this? Why do we do this? Why do we run from our fears? Or rather, why do we run from our callings? There are two major fears that that get in the way. The first one is the fear of failure. And the second one, ironically, is the fear of success. And the first one is pretty obvious. If you try and go for your dream, what if you don't succeed? What if you fall straight on your face and fail? And then all of that daydreaming, all of that imagining that you were going to be able to change the world, become this great hero or this great movie star or do this amazing thing, suddenly it gets exploded when you run up against the reality that you are not good enough. And that is the deep fear. That is the deep fear. It's not just the fear of failure. It's the fear that we are not good enough, that we could never do this. Of course, that is not true because failure is essential to success. But most people don't even try. The second fear that gets in the way, the second reason why we don't pursue our calling is the opposite, which is that we're afraid of succeeding. We're afraid of going out and being the first one. We're afraid of taking the chance and taking the leap. Why? Because we're worried of getting attacked. We're worried of people making fun of us. We're worried of our friends rejecting us, of succeeding too much and then making other people feel bad for not succeeding. When in reality, every time somebody rises up and stands in their light and stands in their power, they're sending a message to the world that yes, it is possible to follow your dreams. Yes, it is possible to show up as a powerful, powerful creator and manifester and do what other people thought was impossible. In doing this, you become an inspiration. Now, when people don't take this path, when people stay in mediocrity, it leads to this heartbreaking place where you end up coming to the end of your life with this burden. You came into this world with this joy and this gift inside of your heart, and by the end of your life, that gift has now become this dense, hard, solid burden because you didn't deliver it. You didn't share it with the world. And when I was younger, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I would see these apartment buildings in the nighttime, and I would see all the orange windows, and it would just make me so sad. Like this deep melancholy would come over me because I knew that most of the people in those windows have a very similar story. They had dreams, they had visions, and they did not live a life that was brave. They did not rise up into their power. They lived a life that was safe. They lived a life that was small, that was comfortable. But ultimately, they ended up in one of those little squares, little lights, with a pain, an aching in their soul. And I knew that I was meant for more. And I knew that they were meant for more. And they knew that too. And it just broke my heart. In fact, I wrote, when I was trying to write a novel, I was writing about this very thing. I didn't realize that this is what I was writing about, but really the big thing that I felt when I was younger is this deep need to escape from a death trap of mediocrity. And the way that this manifested when I was younger is this depression. I just was depressed. And it went on for years and years. And I couldn't shake it. But I think one of the places where it came from was this recognition that so many people in the world, so many people have this light, have this inner genius that they don't utilize. And I'm not saying that the people that end up like that are average and mediocre. The truth is there is no such thing as an average person. There is no such thing as a mediocre person. There are only extraordinary people that have settled for mediocre standards. Right now, I believe one of the greatest risks to our society is mediocrity. Because every problem that we now face is either caused by or perpetuated by mediocrity. And the only way to solve the issues of our age and rise up to the challenge, the many challenges that face us, is for us to enter into a state of true genius. And this genius is not genetic. It is not a fluke. It is something that can be learned. It is something that can be tapped and accessed. And I believe that this is one of the things that drives me. This is one of the things that inspires me. Helping others and seeing others rise up into their gifts. And I believe that we need a new generation of leaders. a new generation of political leaders, of economic leaders, of social and spiritual leaders. People who are not afraid of living for a vision, not just for money or for profits. People who have access to their gifts and who have developed their potential, who have developed their genius and use it for the sake of transforming this world. And I think that the only way to do that, if you are somebody that this speaks to, the only way to really to follow this path and become one of these leaders is to first master your own life, to master your finances, so you're not shackled to jobs and economic situations that drain your energy day after day. And take the brave step of making your mission, making your vision, your career, so you can spend day after day, moment after moment, every fiber of your being committed to this cause that you see and inspires you. And we need peer groups, people that support us, people that hold us to a higher standard, relationships, a partner that inspires us, that excites us and supports us, and then we can do in turn support their dreams. And when we go for this, when we develop this confidence in ourselves, we can achieve impossible things. And the secret to all of this is learning how to master our energy, learning how to master our mind and our body, learning how to master our life. And so, if this is something that speaks to you, if this is something that resonates with you, then I want to speak with you. We need leaders that are ready to take the next step, that are ready to go to the next level and change something about their lives and change something about their communities and ultimately shift the world. Because the way that we're going now, we don't have much time left. My mission is to help people rise up. And if you want to access your own gifts, access your own genius, then go to the link in the description below this video. Every week I host a seminar that brings people together, and I teach you the fundamentals of self-mastery, how to access an unlimited supply of internal energy, access your why, your purpose in this life, and then figure out the tools that you need in order to break through the glass ceilings that are keeping you from moving forward with your vision and bringing it to the world. So when you are able to lead yourself, when you develop that self-mastery, then you can lead others. You can create a movement. You can revolutionize what is possible on this planet, but not until we learn how to master ourselves. So again, if this speaks to you, I want to see you. Go to the link below this video. Sign up for the next seminar. It's called Unleash the Genius Within, because again, there is no such thing as an average person. Only extraordinary people who have bought into average expectations and average standards. I hope to see you soon.